Episode 3, the Minhattrick Swayzes. He's so dirty dancer, Patrick fucking Swayze. Well, third episode, State of the W. Looks like a set of tits, somebody's ass or somebody's nutsack. Either way, we're going to talk about this nutsack right now. So, Segathon, Minhattrick Swayzes, one of the most dominant manual goalies in our league. Has been very positive. Sam's talking as well, my dog. She's taken off out of the room, so that's perfectly fine. Whenever we talk about Swayzes, that's what happens. The women leave the room. So, we're going to look at the board. Yes, everything is reversed. I'll take a picture and post it like Puss had asked. But basically, the Minhattrick Swayzes, they're an original W member. So they've been with us since Season 1. One of the grandfathers of the NHL 95 forever. And at the same time, too, wrote the book on the NHL, how to play NHL 95. And he was one of the grandfathers of this whole online league. Him and King Raph kind of touched base when COVID started, and then Segathon reached out to me, and then the ball started rolling, and Bob's your uncle. 2 years later, we're in Season 8. Got the Q and got the vintage as well. But we're here for the State of the W's nutsacks. It feels like I'm titty fucking it with my finger, but either way. Minhattricks, they've been to 4 conference finals, 1 Brule Cup. Nothing to show because Belly has taken all 6 ever since King Raph took Season 1. Minhattricks, they're a little bit more of a constant team, which is kind of funny when you would have thought like one of the granddaddies of it all has never really blown out onto the scene, if anything. And me wearing the pink kind of ties well to his team with the fucking dirty down B at center ice. It's pretty dirty up here, too, because when I look at it, it doesn't look anything fascinating of like an elite player, but he comes in as our number 3 player because he is an elite player, even though his record doesn't state otherwise, but his performance does. So he went from 31 wins, 31 wins, 38 wins, 38 wins, 37, 40, and 52. Constant increase. Shows the progression. Nick's been a solid player since he's been in the league, and he continues to improve every season. Very good. Second round exit, third round exit, first round exit, Brule finals, third round exit. He's a deep playoff guy. He is a playoff performer. Not a playoff finisher. Sam agrees. You can wait. Basically, with Segathon, he needs to be able to get past that hump. Sam, shut up. I don't want to hear you right now. Quiet. Sam's interrupting the video. This is not good. This is not good for video. Sam, settle. Go sit on the bed. Shush your mouth. Talking about Segathon's seasons, like I said, he's always above a 650 win percentage. Except Season 3 where he was a 576. Otherwise, he's always been 674, 646, 636, 659, 660, and then this past season, 737. So, Segathon's been good. I docked down my tequila. Ooh, shit, I should lap it up with my tongue. Just like Wolfie. Get yourself a bottle of water, boy. Because it's going to be a long season. And you Philly ding-dongs are not going to have a good season because Mr. Magnus is coming with the clapper. Strengths and weaknesses. Segathon. Elite manual goalie. There's nothing else to say about it. He is elite. Seagull. Barely a strength. But when he does perform it, it goes in. But it's not like he reinvented the wheel. I hate that he depends on the Seagull and the Q. It's like, here, I tossed it up from center ice. It's like a down B with no fucking power. It's like a fluttery little bird. Here, go. Maybe you might catch it. You might catch somebody off guard. That's about it. It's an off-guard catcher, and if that you're depending on that as being your arsenal, don't add it to your toolbox, Ed, because it's not something worth adding. And it's not a part of your arsenal. Your fucking failed toolbox. You're not Bob Vila. I'm sorry. You're maybe Tim the Toolman Taylor doesn't know anything. Sam, shush. Down B master. He's the one who started it all. People were doing it before, but then it became the snapperoo. Tell Segathon what a snapperoo means. He says, fuck you, buddy. It's a down B. And he's one of the few players that actually in the league that slows down the pace. He's a slow and steady. He's not like guns blazing, let's go fuck you speed and push it down the ice and try to score. He's that type of player. He'll slow it down, look for slots, and attack. That's how he does it. But then it also forces one of his weaknesses. He's low scoring. He is not, let's run up the score and try to fucking beat you with scoring. I'm trying to beat you with defense, and I'll try to hold you out as long as I can. He falters under pressure situations. Ties into the third point. When he's trailing, he struggles to get back into the game because he's not a high scoring. All three of these tie together. But at the end of the day, he gets up 2 goals on you. He can lock it down and keep you shut out for the rest of the game. You get up 2 goals on him, you just better hope your defense is just good enough because he can't score enough. I don't think Segathon's ever had a 100-point scorer in any season of the W. And I don't see that changing, even with Fedorov. We're going to get to that soon. Well, that soon has just arrived. So, Segathon's team is one of the very few he can rely on garbage in net. Literally, you can put a garbage pail in there and get better success. But he is the garbage pail, which makes it funny, because Segathon has garbage goaltending. When you look at the ratings, I was floored. I was just like, fuck, I'm with the plenty on Vakoun. Other people are like Ed Belfour, Tom Minhattrick. I need some great goaltending. Even Techno John had this Kippersoff and fucking Nabokov. You add those 2 goalies together, they're both in the mid-80s after post-lockout. Segathon, on the other hand, give me 50s, give me 60s. Doesn't matter. I'm going to fucking sub anybody in. I'll put the fucking water boy in that, and they'll play better than most goalies in the league. And he'd be right. Because Steve Shields is his starting goaltender. Steve fucking Shields. Like, Guy Hebert and Kelly Rudy at the tail end of their careers were his starting goalies. I say starting goalies because he uses 1A, 1B. But Steve Shields is an average of 56 overall for the next 3 seasons. A high of 61, a low of 48. And then you add Jamie Storr to the next thing. The only thing he could store is fucking pucks in his butt. Because he's going to be fucking puckered up on the fucking season and the amount of shots he's going to face. He's no better. He's a 62 overall. Minhattrick Swayzes are not dancing. They're fucking 1976 fat fuckers trying to understand what they're doing. They don't know. Fucking 3 seasons left. Post-lockout, he has no goaltending. Segathon's always going to be a late draft pick. He's always going to be in the late 20s, early 30s. He is not going to get an elite goaltender. But he's that type of team. He doesn't need to rely on an elite goaltender. He relies on fucking garbage pails. Minus the lid if you even have to. Because he relies on fucking goaltenders that are averaging less than a fucking 65. And still locking it down and getting here and then 3 conference championships. Guy Hebert and Kelly Rudy were nothing special. But he locked it down with it. That's what elite manual goaltending does. But it starves here because he's not a scoring team. You look at it. He talks about Bill Muckluck like he's fucking Sergei Fedorov. He's got both of them. He's got Fedorov and Muckluck. But Muckluck is fucking Muckluck. Fuck, what is he? A type of shoe? A Muckluck. I think that's what a Muckluck is. So correct me if I'm wrong. But 74 overall, 1 season left. Muckluck's gone. We can put him out to pasture. I'm fine with that. Then you got Jason Ward. 65 average, high end 77, low 50. Plays 6 seasons. A couple of years into after the lockout, he's going to fucking tail off. He'll end up being a cap casualty if he has to be. Cap casualty. Roster casualty, if you want to call it in the W, because we don't have any cap. Sean Horkoff might be one of his long-term players, at least for the next 6 to 7 seasons. He's a 64 overall average, high end 87, but low end 50. Low end 50. Segathon also carries 4 forwards that are lefties and more righties on defense. So there might be something to a strategy of like all my defense are right and all my forwards are left, because there's no way fucking Bill Muckluck is starting. And if he does, it's just because it's Bill Muckluck. Sean Horkoff, like I said, average 64, plays 14 seasons, which is great for him because then he doesn't have to worry about a depth player for a while. But then you add Marco Sturm. Or Marco Strom, whatever. 71 overall average, 10 seasons left to play. High end 81, low 67. Just solid. Decent speed. I think he's got 5s and 6s a couple of those years, but most of it he's a 4 or 5. Good shot accuracy. Not a overly powerful slap shot. He's not a big body checker. He never was even in the NHL when he played with San Jose. But he's a solid player. Then we get to his fucking prized possession, Sergei Fedorov. 88 overall for the next 7 seasons. So he's got him post-lockout for at least 4 seasons post-lockout, which allows him to build players around him to prevent a complete collapse of Segathon's teams post-lockout. But high-end 97, low 82. Even Fedorov at a low-end 82 is better than most fucking rosters. Because Segathon and 82 Fedorov is still going to be elite. He'll carry the puck in. I don't think Segathon's a very high-end passing team. He's going to focus more on his scoring, and if he's going to pass the puck, he's going to make it smart. He's not going to fucking make it risky. And then you got Mark Mowers for another 5 seasons. So he's got him 2 years post-lockout, but an average 70, a low-end 61, high-end 74. Either way, he's got an okay player. He's going to have to look for a depth player at some point or a future star. Drafting at the end of the draft in the high 20s, early 30s, it's not going to happen unless you swing a trade, and he doesn't really have the fucking assets to swing a trade. And he has the draft capital, but for what? Is somebody going to be incentivized to move back in the first round? Or is Segathon going to be like, I'm going to have to trade up to get an elite player, but I'm also going to have to get draft capital that's going to risk my future franchise on it. But he might be that type of team. He doesn't need to worry about risking it. Then you go move to his defense, which I thought when I was writing it down, I was like, this is a fucking shit defense. But the one thing that really, really stood out to me is consistency, is in his length of years that he's got left for these fucking players. He's got Patrice Brisebois, Brett Hennigan, Jamie Howard, and Petteri Nieminen. All 4 of them are 6 or 7 years length. So that means he's got them 3 or 4 years post-lockout. All 4 of them. Which is great, because then he doesn't have to focus on defense right away. And he's got a good blend. Hennigan's is probably the speedster out of it. Nieminen, I never really looked at his stats to kind of get an idea. He's one of those couple of year gap fillers because he didn't play in the league much. Jamie Howard and Patrice Brisebois are more of your stay-at-home type defense, a little more rugged. Brisebois, I like to call him Breeze-by, because when he played with the Habs, everyone just fucking went by him because he was slow as mud and tried to push people instead of trying to body checking. Pansy ass. And for G-Luck, Tapette, vraiment, il vient de Quebec, fuck you, buddy. But either way, I'm from Montreal, so it doesn't really matter. But Brisebois, 70 average, Hennigan 65, Howard 67, Nieminen 68. 7766 are the years. High end 80, low end 52, 51 for all 4 of them. So that's kind of a nice blend. Gives him enough time to be able to build around. But he does need a post-lockout goalie. He actually needs a star goalie. Imagine Segathon with a star goalie and manual ability that he currently possesses. It'd be ridiculous. But at the end of the day, Segathon. We're going to see how he is. This is not a lie. It's not like you see one of these and then all of these. It's you saw it from here all the way up to there. So progressing every season, which is very good. Any team that progresses. The first 2 teams that we saw with Ticklepuss and Sean Bell, they had the exact same trajectory. Continuously improving. Regardless of the skill sets in the league, they're showing that the consistency of winning is here. And some of this does play into it, but at the end of the day, this doesn't really matter when you're performing like this, and this doesn't really matter, especially that. Goaltending's garbage. Who cares? All 3 of those coaches so far, elite manual goaltending. Goaltending sucks. Sean Burke is the only one that's kind of an okay defense if you're goaltender if you're looking at strictly overall, not the person who's controlling it, just overall. Like we said, Ticklepuss had a 71 with Tebow. He's got an average of 62, and Burke's an 82. We're not talking about Hashett, Roy, Habibul, and Vakoum. Any other fucking goaltender other than these dumpster fires. Fuck it. So, next team up, Renfrew Creamery Kings. My Brule Cup finalist, I think, this year, other than myself. But going to the list, people are asking me about the draft lottery for the Q and W. So the way it's going to work, I've revamped it in a way. The way it's going to happen, your regular season record will give you a percentage, regardless of where you end up in the shitty bill. Top 16, the bottom, well, bottom 16 teams, or the top first 16 picks, will be weighted percentage. Your worst record, you're going to have the highest percentage. But it still remains, you win the shitty bill, you get the first overall pick. That means top 15 will be percentage based. So take 15 divided by 100 and then give a heavier weight to the lower seeded teams. So let's just hypothetically say it's MN Yoda, Matty, Techno John, Sugar Valley, whoever else you want to fucking throw in that mix, Springfield. Fuck, you can even put me in there, Wolf. Whoever ends up in the shitty bill is going to have a percentage. But depending on your record, if you're one of the best shitty bill teams, you're going to have the smallest percentage to move up the draft. But it doesn't penalize you from not winning the shitty bill. The shitty bill, you're still going to win the shitty bill cup as well as the first overall. You get to the finals of it, that's fine. If you went on a hot streak and you were like the third worst team in the shitty bill, you still get the third best odds of getting the second overall or third or fourth. But you're not going to get completely penalized. But if you're a solid team, you better hope you got a good thing or win the shitty bill. That's the only way you're going to get up. I think that makes the most sense. It's the most clear. It's the most consistent. And it's not going to cause any rifts. And any team that is new cannot trade their first round picks. Cannot. Top 5 protected was a discussion. Unholy brought it up. I thought it was a very good idea. Protect the top 5 because the top 5 is normally the teams that are trying to build a good team. We don't need the Derek Suttons, myself, Wolf, Sean Bell to some degree, fleecing the top picks to try to get a stud to add to their roster. At the end of the day, you guys are grown-ups. I don't need to fucking hold your hand and make sure everything's all right. Trade calculators are for a reason. The trade committee was dissolved because it went too much in depth instead of just looking at the numbers saying this is balanced or it's unfair. That's all it was. We need to focus more on the fact that we're here to have fun. We're here to focus on improving the players that are new or the players that are inexperienced or just not as good as everybody else, which is fine. But at the same thing, we want everyone to have a good time, everyone to have a good roster, everything like that, but we just don't want people to overextend themselves, being like, shit, my team sucks, I'm going to bail, and then I don't have a team anymore. This same theory will apply to the Q. Q's format will be changing. We're 18 teams. This might bother a lot of people, but at the end of the day, the way I'm looking at 12 teams, that's quite a bit for the Brule, or for the Q. We're going to go top 8. Top 8 make the playoffs. Bottom 10, or if we expand, that's a different story. If it's 10, then we're going to expand, then we can adjust from there. But the bottom 10 will play the playoffs. First 2 teams will get a bye, or first 4 teams will get a bye. I'll have to figure that out because then you'll have to do the matchups. But basically, only 8 teams make the Q finals now, or the Q playoffs. I'm not waiting around for first round buys anymore, and it doesn't make the X Cup, which is like the shitty bill, very important. There's only, like, you win 2 series, you're in the finals. It's not like the shitty where you have to win a lot. Where the Q, if you played all season, you played really well, you should be able to win 3 series to get to the finals. So, only top 8 in the Q moving forward, but the lottery system will apply to the X as well. So the Q will have a lottery for non-Q Cup players. So if you didn't make the playoffs, you go to the lower seed like the shitty bill, there will be a lottery, except that the person who wins the Cup gets the first overall and everybody else is weighted. So the same thing with the Q. There will be the same thing with the W. The W will be the bottom 16 teams will be in the playoff. Team that wins the shitty bill gets the first overall, then 15 other seeds are based on your record of the regular season, regardless of your playoffs. So you have to win, you get the first, otherwise you're weighted on a scale. Clarifies everything. Let's get this done. Next team on the clock, Renfrew Creamer Canes, State of the W.